Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane Spawn Megafig, the Violator. This is Violator in its demon form, and he is huge. He looks to be massively detailed, articulated. He's super heavy, and he's a giant. A Megafig is basically an oversized deluxe figure that's still in scale with a 7-inch line, but is a lot larger. I have Violator in his clown form, and I'm really excited to finally get his demon form to go alongside him. Let's take a look at the packaging here. As you can see at the front, Spawn, the Violator, ages 14+. This is not a toy. I always think it's hilarious McFarlane puts in their figures. They are toys. They're just badass toys. Here he is in the package. Doesn't really have any traditional accessories. At least I do see a display stand in the background. Pretty small for this guy though. One side, you can see Violator from the comics. Other side, you can see through the window box. And we've got the figure down there. On the back, here's the Violator posed up with flames around him. On the bottom, got a bunch of credits, and there is a barcode, in case that helps anybody. I got my figure from Amazon.com. He was supposed to come a couple weeks ago, but they delayed him. Finally got him in hand today. So no further ado, let's open him up. Alright, now that we got this figure out of the package, here he is with all of his accessories laid out. He doesn't come with any character-specific accessories, just simply that display stand. But before we take a look at that, let's talk about and check out the actual figure. So this is the Violator from Spawn Comics in his demon form. He's also in a clown form a lot of the time when he's walking the earth. This guy's absolutely huge. He's heavy, massive, and absolutely fantastic detailed. The sculpt is top notch in this guy. You will totally see where your $50 went. I remember having the Violator, or at least having a buddy that had it when I was a kid, and that thing was huge, but this thing is just tearing that thing apart. So let's take a look at him. Starting with his head here, looks amazing. You can see those 3 different horns. Look at the sculpt and detail all over this thing. Definitely has different shades. The bottom's a little more brown, gets a little more sort of gray as we go upward. All that sculpt and detail all over this thing. 3 different horns, all uniquely done. Look at his eyes. Look like little honeycombs. Got the jagged teeth all over. His mouth is fully articulated. And you can see all that detail inside of there. Just so well done. I mean, the sculpt and detail all over this guy's body. I think $50 is a very reasonable price. Got spikes all along his arm. Looks like single jointed elbows. Looks like single jointed knees, although his articulation what appears to be here. And then here. And then here. He's got a double ball joint in his torso area. Just look at that sculpt and detail. I know I'm repeating myself, but it just looks amazing. This is not your father's Violator figure. This guy is superb. Look at those spikes on his back. Just very pleased and impressed with what I'm looking at. You will not be disappointed with this guy. And then, just a closer look at his face and head. I'm very impressed with his eyes, his teeth, his mouth, his horns, and the overall texture and sculpt all over his skin. Now let's look at his display stand. Typical McFarlane stand. It's a black perfect circle. It says Spawn at the bottom. It's got 1 peg for the peg holes on his feet. Very thin, very basic. So this is McFarlane's first Mega figure in the Spawn line. A Mega figure is essentially an oversized deluxe figure that's in special packaging to accommodate how large he is. Separate from the rest of the regular Spawn line. They've made some Mega figures in the McFarlane DC Multiverse line, but they're a little bit smaller, and they cost $40. This guy costs $50, and I'm not mad. He is well worth the price. They're going to be a Mega figure in their Witcher line, as well as the Princess Bride line. This is the first of what I believe is going to be a bunch of Mega figures in the Spawn line. This guy totally reminds me of a Rancor Beast from Star Wars Return of the Jedi. His color, his size, his hands. Not so much his face, though. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his accessory, now let's check out his height And this is a big boy from bottom to the top of his horn, standing at about 10.25 inches tall, which is going to translate to about 26 centimeters. And if you measure him while he's fully extended, he stands at about 10.75 inches tall. Now let's look at his articulation, and I'm pretty pleased on a figure this size. So let's start off with his mouth. It can open to about that wide, can shut about that much. His head is on some sort of ball joint. It can rotate from side to side, but not getting that much range of motion there. Can turn his head from one side to the other, giving it a nice amount of personality. Head goes up and down just the littlest bit here. Shoulders on a ball joint, goes out a full 90 degrees, no problem. Up, down, around, all that good stuff. No bicep cut, but he does have elbow rotation to offset that. His elbow can be completely straight. Then it goes in a good 90 degrees with the rotation. His wrist here, it can rotate. It's going to be hinged as well. In his waist here, he's got double ball joints. Rotate around his torso, go forward and back. The other one in his waist, rotate around, go forward and back. Very tight there. Not a huge range of motion, but it gives him a pretty good range of motion in his torso. His legs, they go out about that far. Not quite the splits. Not a ball joint, but a similar type concept. The rotation, better than most of the McFarlane figures I have. His legs, they go forward about that far. Back, about that much. His first set of knees goes back about that far. Has rotation as well. Then his second set back here, go forward and back. It can also rotate. Then his ankle here goes forward and back, and also has rotation or tilting and rocking. Here's Spawn, as he often did in the old days. He's hanging out with the homeless people in the streets. He's talking to the clown as he's trying to guide him his way. At least until Spawn says something to piss him off. Spawn said something to set off the clown. And right before Spawn's very eyes, the clown starts to revert to his Violator state. And before you know it, even Spawn looks like he's outmatched. And here, the Spawn and Violator face off in endless combat. Now let's check him out next to some other action figures. Starting off next to some other McFarlane Spawn figures. Here he is, next to the entire Wave 1 of the new McFarlane Spawn line. The only one I don't have is the Platinum Chase variant of Redeemer. And here he is, next to both versions of Mandarin Spawn. I'm still hoping to track down the GameStop Deluxe edition of Mandarin, hopefully for a discount. Then, next to some Mortal Kombat 11 Spawn figures, that Spawn to the left of Violator is the most iconic and classic Spawn McFarlane has made so far, unless you count their Kickstarter Spawn. Here's the entire modern McFarlane Spawn collection. I am missing a couple: the Platinum Chase variant of Redeemer, the Kickstarter Spawn, and the GameStop exclusive Deluxe Mandarin Spawn. These are some top-notch, high-quality figures. Very impressed with this line. Here he is, next to all my old-school McFarlane Spawn figures. It looks like the majority of these guys are 7-inch scale, except for the two clowns to the left of Violator. They're a little bit smaller when the Spawn line was in its infancy. Here's this new McFarlane Violator next to an old-school McFarlane Violator. That thing was huge back in the day. Now you may wonder why this one looks so weird. This one was customized into Clayface many years ago. A pretty poor custom, but one I've kept all these years. Here's this guy next to the other McFarlane Megafigs that have been made so far. These are all in the McFarlane DC Multiverse line. We have two Darksides and Steppenwolf from Zack Snyder's Justice League, and then we have a King Shark from The Suicide Squad. We know there's an upcoming Princess Bride Pheasant. We know there's an upcoming McFarlane DC Multiverse Swamp Thing and a variant. There's some kind of Ice King from the Witcher line. I really like this Megafig format. Opens them up to so many possibilities they couldn't do with standard figures. Speaking of Megafigures, or large deluxe oversized figures. Here's this Violator next to a bunch of Mattel, DC Universe Classics, and Multiverse Build-A-Figures. These guys are some huge offerings, some of the best things from McFarlane's DC Multiverse. And here are some DC Direct and DC Collectibles large deluxe oversized figures. These are all from the Arkham franchise. I don't think any company has made figures this big in the 6 and 7 inch scale, at least with DC figures. Now let's check this guy out next to some action figures from different various companies to see how he fits in both scale and style wise, in case you want to know which lines you can mix him with. Since he's a McFarlane figure, they're typically the 7 inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the larger action figure lines I collect and work my way smaller. And this guy being a giant deluxe oversized figure, he should fit in great with your larger 7 inch figures and all the way down to your smaller 6 inch figures. Here he is with some of his McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7 inch scale. And here he is next to some McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Then, next is more McFarlane figures. These ones are from different various video game properties. And now, next to some Jakks Pacific wrestling figures. And here he is next to some DST or Diamond Select toys. Then, next to some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. And here he is next to some NECA figures. Then, next to some Mattel wrestling figures. And now, next to some Jazzwares AEW wrestling figures. And here he is next to some Mezco 1/12 cloth soft goods action figures. Then, next to some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. And here he is next to some Megafig figures. Then, next to some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here he is next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. And finally, next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. Overall, this is an absolutely fantastic figure. He is heavy, he is massive, he is durable, a lot of playability. His articulation is great for a figure of his size. The sculpting detail and paint job are just absolutely amazing, truly remarkable. Whoever sculpted this thing outdid himself. His accessories are non-existent, and you know what? That's okay. You get yourself a huge hunk of plastic. Sure, he's $50, but I'd say he's worth every penny. If I were to rate this guy, I'm very impressed. I'm going to give him a very solid 9 out of 10. Very high rating in my book. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add it to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will talk to you guys real soon.